Welcome to the Pocatello Business Podcast, the only Pocatello podcast focused on providing profits for Pocatello people. If you love our town and love small business, you are in the right place. We interview local legends, learn business, and have way too much fun doing it. You're listening to the Pocatello Business Podcast with your friend, host, all-around great guy, and owner of New Clean Commercial Cleaning, Spencer Ward.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Pocatello Business Podcast. We are here with Mark Petersen, attorney, experienced attorney, pretty much homegrown. He came to Pocatello when he was 2 years old, graduated high school here. What high school did you go to here, Mark?
Went to Highland.
Highland guy. He went on to receive his bachelor's at Brigham Young University in Provo. Then he went on to the University of Idaho and received his law degree there. And he's been practicing law since 2004. Am I correct?
Yep, that's right.
And now he is the owner and the attorney at Snake River Law here in town on Center Street. Any corrections from that introduction?
Nope, you got it all right.
Perfect. Well, Mark is also a close friend of mine. Oops, better turn off my phone. That's a bummer. And he's just an all-around good dude. So we're glad to have him on the show today. And Mark, tell us a little bit about yourself, some of your hobbies, and then while you're at it, say hi to the good old people of Pocatello.
Sounds good. Hello, everybody. Some of the things I like to do when I'm, off the clock a little bit, I like to fly fish. So especially in the summertime. So that's gearing up here for the next couple months, hopefully. Hopefully that snow on top of Scout Mountain disappears, so we can actually have some summer. I like to spend time with my family, of course, and just do stuff with them. And my 12-year-old's been bugging me about going fishing for the last 3 or 4 weeks. So now we're gonna do some of that this weekend. But
That's cool.
those are the things I like to do. Just hang out with them and enjoy life as much as we can.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, Mark, I know you've been an attorney for a good amount of time now. What are some of the myths about your industry?
Myths about our industry. Well, one common one I see is people think they have to pay hourly fees for all types of legal services. They don't have a choice. They can't ever know what the cost of their services will be. That's classic attorneys. Like, how much is it going to cost? Well, we don't know, we'll just have to start working on it. So that's one myth, is that people can never know how much it's going to cost them. I see that quite a bit. Another myth is, at least from our perspective, is attorneys will never call us back. So we always try really hard to essentially eliminate that myth and make it so that we are responsive and get things done promptly for people. But there is a lot of people, law firms especially, that don't do that. They're the exact opposite. They're inefficient. They don't return calls. All those things. But trying to think what other myths there are out there. Lawyers aren't friendly. That's probably a myth. Or they like to talk over your head. We're definitely not that way. We like to be friendly. We like to invite people in. We like to have a long-term positive relationship with people.
I like it. So, Mark, I know a lot of attorneys, they don't like to just say, hey, I do everything. They kind of focus on a few things that they do well and want to focus on. What are the things that you specialize in?
So we focus on estate planning at all levels. So that what that means is, trust planning, will planning. So asset protection stuff for your family, but also how to keep kids safe and protected if they, by chance, ever lose their parents. So that's a big part of it. Then we do small business advising, so formation, helping businesses form properly, but also just compliance. So sometimes you hear the word, corporate shield out there, and we help people do everything they can to maintain their corporate shield and keep their personal assets protected. And then the third thing that we do that maybe we don't talk about as much is we do adoptions for people. So foster care adoptions, but also private adoptions, step-parent adoptions, and on occasion we even do adult adoptions for people. So just all kind of levels there.
I know my mom threatened to adopt me to someone else when I was a teenager, but glad that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Just kidding, Mom. If you're listening, I know I'm just joking. I know. So
she's gotten to the point where she wants you back, or at least wants the grandkids back, right?
Yeah. She'll claim the grandkids, which doesn't claim me yet, still. So, but I put her through some hell when I was a teenager. But that's a different story and a different podcast altogether. So, well, hey, so let's get into the business side for a little bit here. What are some of the things? I know you've helped me with some things within my business and some other entities that we own. But what are some of the major things that business owners need to look out for owning a business?
Okay. So I think one is a lot of business owners, LLC owners, sole proprietors, even corporations, if they're small enough, they tend to only do the bare minimum from a legal perspective. So they'll file their incorporation thing with the state, their certification of organization, their whatever it might be. And they file their annual report, which sometimes they don't even do that, but they file the annual report, but that's all they do. So the absolute bare minimum to be recognized under the law as an entity. And so that's a big problem, because if they ever run into any, legal issues down the road and they have litigation type problems, a court is going to look at that and say, hey, this isn't a legitimate corporate entity. They never followed anything. They never did anything. And so the judges like to just disregard that entity completely. And then your whole corporate shield. So the main reason for one of the main reasons for organizing your business is just gone.
Yep.
So that's a big problem I see pretty frequently on the organization side. Another problem is just kind of like your ongoing, I'll call it maintenance of your business, but actually doing your annual reports, documenting things, just showing that things are in place. Third thing would be mixing and mingling personal and business assets. That happens quite a bit, and it shouldn't happen at all. I mean, if it happens, like if you make a mistake and you grab the wrong debit card 1 or 2 times, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a pattern where people are paying for their vehicles out of their business account, or paying for their mortgage out of their business account, just things like that. Yep. And then maybe the last one I can think of just off the top of my head would be employee relations, like not having like a non-disclosure confidentiality agreements with your employees. So when you have a problem and an employee leaves, they hijack all of your client information and give it to a new employer. Yep. So I see that happen quite a bit too. They just don't have anything there in place.
And a non-solicitation, something like that in place, because
exactly.
those are more. If I'm speaking as a non-attorney, but those I believe are more enforceable than a non-compete, right? A non-solicitation.
Yeah, non-competes are valid, but they have to be limited in their scope.
Okay.
They can't be, so like if you have a salesman for your employee, you're probably not going to be able to limit them very much. Where if you had like a manager that was doing everything, you may be able to limit them a little bit more. But your non-disclosure, non-solicitation, and confidentiality, they can have a lot more teeth to them and can exist for a lot longer period of time. So even if your employee is like a classification where non-compete doesn't really fit, you can still put in a non-solicitation, non-disclosure, confidentiality agreement so that they can't hijack essentially your intellectual property, your client lists, those kind of things that really are where you get the value out of your business.
Yeah, I agree. Perfect. Well, Mark, we're going to do something new right now, guys. I've got to take a quick sponsorship break. Pocatello Business Podcast is starting to get big time right now. We got a sponsor. Got to give them a call out.
Good.
So the Pocatello Business Podcast right now is sponsored by Dell's Outdoor Advertising. locally owned and operated for the past 60 years, guys. And then did you guys know that billboards work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, bringing your message to customers around the clock? And then billboards, they work. 71% of commuters remember messages they read on billboards, and 32% made a decision within 1 week based on a billboard message. So if you'd like to get a hold of Dell's Inc. for your billboard needs here locally in Pocatello, call 208-232-6886. Again, 208-232-6886. So thank you again, Dell's Inc. for billboards and outdoor advertising. So Mark, back to you. So we're talking about the things that, that the business owners need to be aware of. The non-solicitation is a big one. That means they cannot go after your current customer base, and that's a big one. Talk a little bit about articles of organization. Am I saying that right?
Well, yeah. So your certificate of organization would be with the state. So the state of Idaho, and pretty much any state, of course, requires some type of documentation to prove that you're a business entity.
Okay.
And that's what you do with the state, is you file that with them to show that what type of business entity you are,
sure,
and your name, how they can contact you if they needed to, essentially.
Okay. I think what I maybe meant to say was operating agreement, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was wondering if that's what you were.
You're correct. That's good. I want to mention one thing before you said about commingling funds. That's also known in your world as piercing the corporate veil, right?
Yeah, that's a phrase, like a legal phrase that you could see. So a court, if you were as a corporate entity, let's say you had some type of liability, you got sued, and they were trying to determine which assets were going to pay for that liability. Piercing the corporate veil means that they are going to jump your corporate entity and go after your personal assets.
That's not fun.
Yeah, which is exactly what you don't want to happen. You want to have your business entity in place so that doesn't happen. So commingling of funds is one of the rationales for piercing that corporate veil.
Sure.
So that's what that is.
Sure. And then, there's some gray area too, that, business owners are going to pay for meals here and there and some stuff like that. But, major obvious stuff, right? Like you're paying the mortgage. That would be a big one. Yeah. Paying for your own mortgage.
Yeah. Occasional, mistakes using an account, like I said earlier, like you grabbed the wrong debit card. You got two ICCU debit cards that look identical,
sure,
and you grabbed the wrong one. That's not what we're talking about. But
yep,
we're talking about kind of a consistent pattern of commingling funds, and
sure.
And it's such an easy solution to that too. It's just, if you need money, take a draw out of your business account and put it into your personal account. It's such an easy solution, but people just don't. Some people just can't wrap their heads around that.
Yep. Exactly.
But yeah, you said operating agreement. So that's for an LLC, for a limited liability company. They have an operating agreement that outlines essentially the structure of the business, the membership, the ownership, all that kind of stuff. A corporation would have bylaws, which would have similar, effect, outline the shareholders and how the business should be operated and the management structure of that business.
Yep.
They're both pretty critical. Not having those, again, another reason for a court to pierce your corporate veil by not having those in place.
And that's a big one. And speaking as a business owner, guys, like when I first formed my first entity, I did it without an attorney, because first of all, I was broke. I had no money. So I'm like, okay, got to figure this out. But that's all it was. That's all I had done was just registered with the state. I was known as an LLC. At the same time, there was nothing protecting me, no operating agreement, nothing really protecting me. And that outcome of, if something never did happen, hopefully we're treating our customers the best way we possibly can so we don't end up in a lawsuit. But things happen here and there when we need Mark's assistance. But it's better to use Mark's talents and abilities in the protection side first before you get into a little bit of hot water, because then you're better protected. And judges, they're not the biggest fan of business owners.
Yeah, you got a variety there. I mean, you've got some that may be pro-business, but then you have some that may be very anti-business. So you don't know what you're going to
You don't
get.
know what you're gonna get. So you better be protecting yourselves, guys. Make sure you're getting some protection. So
And you kind of hit on a point there, Spencer, just the protection side of it. It's so much more cost effective and cheaper to do the protection side than to get involved in litigation because you didn't do it. You know, the cost is significantly less than having to do that either way. But
well, especially if they end up piercing a corporate veil, and now your personal assets are all open for the court to just cherry pick and say, yeah, that's gonna be distributed out, and that's not fun.
no, yeah, imagine your house, your vehicles, your personal bank accounts all being attached and
Your
linked.
toys, your
Yeah.
razors, all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's not good. Okay. So what are there anything else that we need to be aware of as business owners, Mark?
You know, another kind of side benefit of having all your documents in place is if any investors show up and want to help build your business, they're going to expect that to be in place. And if it's not, they're going to leave. They're not going to stick around because they don't think you're legit. And so if you have hopes and dreams of expanding and growing and needing some loans from like the SBA or investors, they're going to demand that kind of information. If you don't have it in place, it's either going to delay it significantly or they're just going to go away.
Yep.
So that's another side benefit of actually having all that structure in place.
I concur with that. And even if you want to sell later on too.
Exactly. Yeah.
You want to see your ducks in order, you know?
Yep.
So
that's just kind of a side benefit of that. But yeah, I don't know if that's kind of what popped into my head when you asked that question.
I like it. You're hitting it all on the head perfectly. So, and don't expect, attorneys to give you accounting advice, and don't expect accountants to give you law advice, because they all have their different positions for a reason, because that's just too much information to know for one guy.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like with S corp, for example, for S corp taxation stuff or whatever, I always tell people, if you really want to know, you need to go have an accountant to go run the numbers to see if it makes sense for your situation. You can't just wing it. You want somebody to figure that out for you and run the numbers.
Sure. Well, I just remember back in the day, there was a business I was looking at purchasing with a partner, and we asked him to see the books, and we signed an NDA and all that fun stuff. And literally, his books were done on an app. And it was a cash business too. So there's things to hide and stuff. And I'm like, it was just so sloppy. And I can imagine, especially if you're out there commingling your funds and you have someone come in to buy or invest, like they're going to be looking at your books and saying, what in the heck are you doing? This doesn't make sense. And, if you're running a business to just own your job, and you're just a single operator and you're doing all the work and you don't ever want to expand or grow, and you don't ever want to sell, I guess, and you want to risk having not anything ever happen and then being safe. But if you want to grow your business and to hire people and to be a successful business that eventually wants to sell, you've got to have things straight, because when it comes time to either sell or have someone invest, they're not going to care. They're not going to care about your excuses about why you did certain things and why you use funds this way and funds that way. They just want to see it on the paper. So,
well, a smart negotiator in a business transaction like that, buying it, if they saw that there was those types of problems, but the business did have good potential, they would negotiate you way down on your price. And so you would end up losing value that you could have had you had all your ducks in a row. So that's another kind of thing about that, is maximize your value, right?
Yeah, I agree. No one wants to lose some money, especially when you're trying to sell and retire and sell off into the sunset. No one wants to give up a few dollars or a lot of dollars because of clerical stuff that you knew, shoot, if I just took a little bit more time and took a draw here, I would have been a lot better off, So I think this is good. I'm gonna, Mark, if I can, I'm gonna start using you as my legal advice on the show. We're gonna have you, we'd love to have you on more on a regular basis for people to learn more about what they need to do for their business and things to look out for. So if you're okay with that, that would be great for us within the show.
Yeah, love to help out the viewers any way we can and get them some information and practical things they can do to help their business and stuff. So that'd be great.
I like it. Well, towards the end of the show, we always ask, we kind of move into a lightning round here. We always ask a few different questions. So number one, what is your favorite local restaurant right now?
I'm kind of split right now between Everest Kitchen and Himalayan Flavor. Kind of stuck between those two right now.
I do like those. I do like those. Those are good ones. Okay, good selections there. And then, what is your favorite business, just any local business, to just go and give your business to?
This morning I was over at Elite Care Chiropractic getting straightened out, so that was helpful for me today. So I'll use that one because I was over there. You got these crooked lawyers. We got to get straightened out. I was over there getting straightened out this morning. So
there you go.
I'll go with that one.
He's not crooked though, guys. That's just a joke. He's the most honest guy I've ever met. So, well, they're good. That's great. I like those selections. I like Josh Nining over there at Elite. He's definitely straightened me out a few times. Anyways, so we're moving towards the end. Mark, if people want to get a hold of you at Snake River Law and need some assistance, some business advice, or even adoption advice or estate planning advice, how do they get a hold of you?
So they can give us a call at 208-406-9885. They could also email me direct, which is just Mark, M-A-R-K, @snakeriverlaw.com. Our website also has a contact us feature that would get right to my email. It also has on the mobile version of it, there's just right at the very beginning, there's a call us thing right there. You just tap that and it connects you right to us. So any of those ways, we try to be really responsive, email, phone, whatever it might be, and make sure people can get a hold of us and we get back with them. If we don't get the call immediately, we get back with them as soon as possible. So.
Perfect. I like it. And did you have a certain offer that you want to present to the audience here, the Pocatello Business Podcast?
Sure. For the Pocatello Business Podcast people, if you just reference that when you call and set your appointment, we would do two things. One, we'd give your consultation for free. We wouldn't charge you. We usually charge $50 for people to reserve that.
Beautiful.
And then the second one is that we could give you a 10% off discount off of your business or estate planning needs, or adoption. Any of those services, we give you 10% off of your flat rate. So one thing we didn't mention is I do flat rates. I don't bill by the hour. So you actually know the cost of the service that we agree on it. You know it from day one. There's no surprises. We're not going to run your fees up. You don't have to worry about that. And we'll give you 10% off of that flat rate.
Very nice. See that, guys? It pays to listen to the Pocatello Business Podcast because you're going to start getting some deals like this with some amazing professionals. So, Mark, appreciate you being on the show with us today. Thank you for your sage wisdom and advice.
Well, glad to be here as always. And shout out to Spencer. I've known him for a while. If you guys have his need for his services too, reach out to him. He does good work. So. That's
right. We're all business owners here. I own New Clean Commercial Cleaning. So if you guys need, we take your dirty work seriously. These guys always make fun of me because I say we take your stripping needs seriously because we strip and wax floors. We're I can't say too much because I don't want people to get offended, but we've got a sense of humor. Come on, guys. And if you need janitorial needs, just give us a holler. So, but thanks, Mark, again. Snake River Law. This guy is the man. He's trustworthy. He's a good dude. Give him a call, and let's keep rolling on this thing. So,
appreciate it, Spencer.
No problem.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. And we'll definitely have you on here again. But until next time, guys, thank you very much. See ya.
Congratulations on spending a couple minutes getting just a little bit smarter, having some fun, and supporting the Pocatello business community. If you are feeling the love, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you are.